Good afternoon, you handsome lot. We are back in high definition today. We have got the Spectaculars back on. But behind me, we've got a 2010 Hyundai i20, which is coming for a little bit of a clutcheroonie. Now, you probably remember this vehicle. I did a steering rack on it not long ago, and it has travelled all the way from the Manchester area. Now, one of the questions that I get asked all the time when I'm doing jobs is, oh, what's the mileage on it, Baz? Let's have a little lookaroonie, shall we? We have done 69,000, well, almost 70,000 miles. Right, let's grab my little tool trolley and let's get cracking. Now, as far as engine bays go, this is a relatively clean engine bay. First things first, as always, we're going to start at the top and we're going to get the battery disconnected. And always disconnect it negative first. With that battery out of the way, now the battery clamp on these is also part of the ECU bracket, so be extra careful when you're unplugging it. Now we can move around and remove the bottom half of the airbox and the battery tray. Right, now we've got everything out of the way, been a little bit of a detective, and I think that this gearbox has been out before. Because if you have a little look at the nuts, the bolts on the end of the gearbox mount, you can see that there's a socket bit on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yeah. Right, anyway, not to worry. We need to get involved now. Remove the gear cables, remove these little split pins. These little ones, make sure you don't lose them, put them somewhere safe. And the bracket, the gear cables, when they go through these little clips at the back here, they can be a bit of a pain, but what I like to do is just remove the bracket off the gearbox. It makes it just a little bit easier. I've now gone ahead and removed the gear cables, which are cable tied up the back there because we don't want anything flopping down in our way. Also, we've removed the clutch slave cylinder and just pulled that out of the way as well. Pretty much now we can do everything from the bottom. But what I have done, the 3 bolts on the gearbox mount, I've removed the 2 rear ones and just slackened. Let me swap my sockets over. And you can just slacken that front one up, and we can get that from underneath. Right, let's take the vehicle up in the air with working height, and we can get the wheels and shafts out. Now, with that vehicle being at working height, a little bit more detective work from Baz. Split pins in the dry shafts, they're brand new, so that is a dead giveaway. These shafts and everything have been out before. Let's get our little wire cutters now. Get these split pins out. We're going to grab our 32mm on our Milwaukee and get these dry shaft nuts removed. Little magnet to get the washer out. That dry shaft now should push out with our thumb. I've now got this vehicle fully raised and we're going to do everything from underneath, but first things first, we're going to drain the gearbox oil into a little receptacle. Now, normally I do like to keep the gearbox oil and reuse it, but this customer has requested it be changed, so I'm going to get that sun plug out. The sun plug, yeah. I'm going to get that gearbox oil out. And I've also slackened the filling bung. When we remove the filling bung now, that oil should start pouring out. Lovely. Look at that. Perfect. Once all that gearbox oil has been removed from the gearbox, we need to remove now the lower suspension arms from the hubs. Now, I have already taken the 19mm nuts off. What we're going to be using is this Pickler suspension arm tool. Now, you probably all think, oh, that's easy that is. Well, let me tell you now, this is like a third arm having another apprentice with you. It's accepting to set up. Coming right to the right way. You're probably thinking, oh, it would have been quicker now just to get up with the hammer and smash the ball joint and bar in it, but it's brilliant. We've got the hammer right. Right, now that suspension arm is all set up, grab a hammer and we're going to tap the knuckle now, and that ball joint should just pop out. Just like that. That tool now is going to hold that suspension arm down for me while I remove the dry shaft. How simple is that? Right, after we've now removed both the dry shafts, we need to move around, remove this little protective plate, which is 412mm, and then we can remove this rear gearbox mount. And that is, right by there, the gearbox mount, which is out of the way. I've gone ahead and removed the lower bell housing bolts, but if we do come, evidence that it has been out before. We've got a bolt there, which isn't even tight. Not good, not good. But we need to carry on. We can't let that put a downer on it, can we? Right, well I am now in a position where I can get the gearbox out. I've got my apprentice, my transmission jack, and also what I like to do, remember the gearbox mount? At the beginning of the video where I removed the rear two and left the front one in. I get my little flexi ratchet on the last one. We can put a hand up to the top here, and we can undo it from the bottom. Can you see? Now with that gearbox dropped right down, we can get everything now through the wheel arch here. And I've got my 3/8 battery ratchet, long extension on that last bolt. Can we see it? Is it even going there? I don't know. We can get that last bolt out now and get this gearbox out. I am not happy. As you can see, I've got this gearbox out, and it has had, let me flip the camera around, it has had a clutch at some point in its life, not so long ago by the looks of it. It's had a blueprint clutch fitted, but this is another level. Now this customer was complaining of a bad clutch pedal, and like I've said all along, I thought that this car's been a part, which I'm going to show you it has. What is going on there? They've obviously snapped the bolt that holds the clutch fork to the clutch arm, like so. Rather than drill it, tap it, put a new bolt in, they've just welded it. Now to me, that is just absolutely pure lazy. Now upon removal of this gearbox, look at the state of the threads on that and bolts. One in there, just pulled the threads, whether it's been cross-threaded or the wrong bolt been used, I do not know. But this is sometimes what you have to put up with. I'm not very happy about that. Now that, with that being welded like it is, it's only got to be welded a millimetre out, and the throw of that clutch pedal is going to alter drastically by the time it goes through the hydraulic system up to your pedal in the car, and it'll give you a horrible clutch pedal. So, like I said, this car has travelled all the way from Manchester to me close to Wrexham, and he was just staying local. It's 3.5, 4 hour job max to do this, and it's spiraled out of control now to a point where I've had to overnight parts from Japan. No, I'm joking. The parts are going to have to come from Hyundai, which is in Shrewsbury. Now, I can't get them till sometime tomorrow. I'm hoping it's going to be in the morning, so I can crack on with this clutch job. Spiraled out of control for no reason, for somebody's laziness. That is shocking. Right, but for now I've got a few little bits and bobs that I'm going to be plodding on with. The Audi A6 that I did a service on, the fuel pipes have now turned up from being on back order, so I'm going to plod on with them. Probably make another video which will be put out before this video, which will be Thursday night. But yeah, anyway, we'll see you tomorrow on this video. Well, it is now Friday and we are back in. It is now 10:30 and we've had the parts delivered for this awful bodged gearbox. Now all the bits have turned up from the dealer, so we're going to get them open and see what we got. Right, well, I do not know why I've got pretty much 5 or 4 of everything. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts for there. We've got a new arm, a new clutch fork, and some new guide tubes as well. But I've always been under the impression that these gearboxes have a spring. Now, I'm going to attach a video, a picture. I can't find one anywhere, and the dealers are saying that it isn't fitted to this gearbox. Strange, I know, but I was always led to believe that there was a release spring in there. I don't know. Now, yesterday while I was waiting for all the bits, I did cut the old arm out, which is here. Look at the state of it. That's horrendous, that is. I ain't gonna lie. How it's stuck, I do not know. Now, I already removed the plastic guides from in here, so I've already put one in. And how I've had to do it is use a socket and an extension bar through there and just tap it into place, and I'm going to do the same on this side as well. Right, I've now gone ahead and put them 2 guide tubes in, and also there's a rubber oil seal. They describe it as a rubber oil seal that goes on the outside. Now, before we put this new thrust bearing back in, what I've done is grab some 3M Scotch pad and give that tube a damn good cleaner rooting, and it is looking like brand new. And before we put it all back together, I'm going to get a tiny little bit of red rubber grease, and I mean put a small coating of it all the way around and on the splines. You don't want a lot of it. The more you have, the more dust that's going to stick to it. Very light coating, and we can get that. I'm going to be using, because in this kit it comes with a genuine thrust bearing rather than using the one out of the LUK box. Or do I put the LUK one in and use, I don't know. But that now should slide on there nice and freely. Right, well, I've had a slight little bit of a change of heart. I'm going to be taking the genuine one off. I'm going to be using the thrust bearing that goes with the clutch kit. I think if we keep it all together, everything's matching, isn't it? And there you have it. Everything now is built back up and it is moving nice and freely. Now, I've gone ahead and I've already fitted the LUK clutch. Now, how I torque the clutch plate back up, get a long Allen key, put it through the bell housing bolts, slot it in place like so. We can get a torque wrench and that'll hold the flywheel. Let me get a better bolt and that'll hold the flywheel for you while you're torquing it. Tip of the day. Oh, I would just like to mention that I have sorted all the threads out in the bolt, in the bell housing, in the gearbox. Threads are nice and perfect, and I've put a die down the bolts as well, so everything's going to go in beautifully. And don't forget, people, always when you're doing these gearboxes, make sure that you're using the proper tools, because you've only got one back and you do not want to be in agony, well, when you're my age, 40. And also, people, in the next clip upcoming, I forgot to take my camera out of hyperlapse, so it was just a case of me saying car's all back together, drive shafts in, and some fresh gearbox oil. Let's drop it down, and there we have it. With a little bit of magic, now that car is all back together and everything is tightened up as it should be. Should we jump in the car and give this clutch pedal a little bit of a feel, see how it's going? We've got no restrictions there whatsoever, and it feels like a good clutch pedal. Let's get on the key now, give it a big start. Got no warning lights after disconnecting the battery, that is a good thing. Let's select gear. We're driving forward. Ooh. Forward. We've got rough for race mode, reverse. Absolutely perfect. Now that job is finished. Now I'm going to be taking it for a test drive, but this customer has had a clutch replacement because somebody had done a bodge rather than fix it correctly the first time. I can't get my head around that, and you've all seen such a condition that it was in, and whoever had done it thought that was acceptable. Now when they've welded it, they probably welded it a mil, like I said in the video, a millimetre, which is misaligned, and through the pedal that is giving a horrible clutch feel, and the pedal being at the top or what have you. But anyway, I am more than confident that this clutch is now perfect and the customer is going to be more than happy with it. So yeah, that's it for me for Friday. I'm off tomorrow, it's my rotor off, 1 in 4 off, so yeah, win-win. Hope everybody has an absolutely awesome weekend. We've had a busy week in work. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and most of all, let's get it sent.